Hi everyone, and welcome back to my DevLog series. Today I just finished working on the next major part of my game, including a new health system, a gamma system, and some new enemies. Most importantly, however, I finished procedurally generated levels, as well as some smaller features which I'll show you in this video. If you're new here, this is my second video on this game, which currently doesn't have a name yet, but is going to be a game set in space, as you see, with a lot of mechanics similar to the Binding of Isaac or Soul Knight. Okay, so let's get into it. In the last video, I talked about the 3-heart health system I had implemented at the time. However, as I worked more and more in the game, I realized that a health bar would make more sense for the style of the game. I also implemented a very similar but blue gamma bar. The gamma bar will replace ammo in most games. It prevents the player from constantly shooting, and instead makes them think about every shot. If the player runs out of gamma, they'll either need to replenish it from killing enemies or just resort to using melee attacks. I went through several versions for both the coin and the gamma gem sprites, however I settled on the design you see on the screen right now. It will most likely be changed in the future, but with the bloom effects in the game it looks right for now. The coin adds value to the coin value on the top right, and the gamma gem adds 5 points to the gamma bar, regenerating the ability to shoot. With some help from Unity Answers, I added a short description to each weapon that shows the name of the weapon whenever the player gets within 2 units of it. In the future, it would also show the damage, the bullet number, etc. I also worked on making the weapon script much more versatile to allow for making more and different weapons in the future, which I'll most likely work on in the next episode. I had a huge bug with the weapon box that took me almost a week to fix. It started when I tried making the box script much more versatile. First it would drop the pistol much more than the AK or the shotgun. After fixing that, it would not show up the text for each weapon, and after almost 5 days of work, the text would stay on and not go away even after the player was farther away from it. As I said, after almost a week of fixing that and getting frustrated over and over again, I finally fixed all of it, and now I have a very easy way to add weapons into the box just by dropping it into an array into the box script. You may have seen in the last video the player could glitch through some walls if they dash at a wall at a right angle. I really needed to fix this, and after some research I resorted to Raycasts. Now every frame that the dash goes on, a Raycast shoots out, and if a wall is detected within 2 units, the dash is stopped, and the player ends up at the place where the Raycast hits. It was easy enough to implement and works flawlessly. Next up, I finally started working on the procedural generation of levels, where most of the game will take place. Using a tutorial by Blackthorn Prod, I got a system working within an hour. It works by setting up pre-made rooms with doors on different sides, and placing spawning objects on each side of an opening. The spawning object spawns a random room with an opening on that side. Now all that I have to do is just make a bunch of rooms with loot and enemies inside, and I'll have a finished level system ready. I obviously had a couple bugs that took me a while to fix, but it was mostly because I used rooms made with a tile map and not just game objects, but after adding a couple lines of code, it worked perfectly. The system was much easier to implement than I expected, and the tutorial really helped out. I'll have it linked below. I was very happy to have that done since that was probably the biggest part of the game, and my vision for the game was finally coming together. Finally, the last major thing I worked on was making a couple new enemies, since the basic enemy was just getting old. I worked on a stationary enemy that rotates towards the player and shoots every couple seconds, with a cool loading animation that just consists of a circle filling up and rotating. I decided to make a similar but faster shooting enemy that would deal less damage and have less health. Each of them are now prefabs and can be dropped into any level. I also worked on another enemy that can only move along the X or the Y axis around the player, as well as adding a damage particle for some sort of response whenever a successful hit is made. Overall, I'm very happy of the progress that's been made in the last couple weeks, even though I couldn't work on it for a long time. The things I did finish really brought the game together and much closer to the vision I have for it. For next time I want to add at least a little basic sound effects, as well as adding new guns and new rooms. So thanks for watching, and if you want to keep up with the game, consider subscribing. Thank you.